Hey there fellow tech priests, it's Fred here, and today is the day that I finally start doing something useful on YouTube. In Canticles of Tacticus series, we'll be diving into some basic concepts and trying to help you understand and optimize your gameplay so you can get your rosters online as fast as possible. I won't really be explaining the basic things like how do game modes work, so I hope that you already played the game at least a little and know how to play and progress in those modes. The very first episode will be about the machine spirit of the in-game economy, and trust me, you want to be on its good side. So grab your holy oils and incense and let's get right into it. Okay, so in Tacticus we have plenty of different resources that we get from various nodes or activities. And it can get pretty hard to remember them all and understand what ways of spending them are actually worth it. I myself divide all those resources into two groups, basic and secondary. The most basic ones in my eyes are the ones that you actually have to manage both on the short and on the long term. Those are gold, badges, orbs and upgrades. They all require you to plan your gameplay in the game to not get totally stuck in your progress, while the rest of the resources are either short-term focused or have narrow set of uses in the game. So first, we look at gold. Early game, it isn't really a huge roadblock, but late game it becomes an important resource to manage. The further you go into the game and the higher levels of abilities you are getting, the more gold you need, and this income is rather static, so it doesn't really grow a lot over time, so you really need to plan accordingly. You can fix that problem with optimizing your gameplay. All in-game events provide plenty of gold by crates, so you being active in them helps your income. What also helps the gold income is scrap run, and you should be doing it 2 times per day, making sure to break every box and especially the blackstone crate that requires you to crit it to destroy it. So for the Imperial track you are supposed to bring Sisters of Battle because they have 3 crits. For the Xenos track you are supposed to bring Aitana because she gives crits to all your allies near her. And for your chaos scrap runs, you are supposed to suffer for corn, so that's the spirit. The idea is to push one scrap run track as deep as you can and do it as fast as possible. The higher you go, the more gold it gives, and it's not really getting much harder for you. What helps a lot is double gold Saturdays. They work for scrap runs too, so if you plan it properly, you can use 3 scrap run tokens on Saturday, and you get it done by saving up 2 tokens on Friday and using the first one in the first half of the next Tacticus day, which would be the Saturday. And then over the next 12 hours you get your third token. Double gold Saturdays also are amazing with campaigns. And I have to tell you that you actually get double gold rewards for getting skulls in the missions. This is amazing, especially in your elite campaigns, where you can get 5 or 10,000 gold per mission if you clear it for the first time and get the skull reward. So doubling that money allows you to get a lot of bonus gold in the long run. So yeah, basically you should progress your campaigns on Saturdays if it's possible. Then we have orbs and badges. They are way easier to manage, but they can be really a headache when you find yourself stuck without them. So yeah, their income is steady but slow. The golden rule of using orbs is not to ascend random characters. For example, you don't really want to ascend a bronze 1 Harkin with level 10 abilities to legendary because it doesn't really do anything useful for the character and it just wastes the orbs. I want to give a quick shout out to the Tacticus subreddit, which is full of posts that ask this question if they should be upgrading a level 10 Harkin to legendary. No, you should not. Instead, you really want to ascend your characters when there is a true need for that, when you meet a roadblock on your progression. For example, you have a rare Cat Skoden, and he can't really tank the enemies in Fall of Cadia Mirror. So you get him to Epic, upgrade him from Silver 1 to Gold 1, upgrade his abilities, give him some epic equipment. You don't waste your orbs on random ascensions, especially you have to care about the legendary ones. This also applies to badges. You really want to know which characters you'll be using and which will be left forgotten for the most of the time. Using resources on characters that will get ignored by you soon isn't really a good idea. A good idea, though, may be utilizing the Onslaught game mode as best as you can, since it is the most reliable source of free badges and orbs. If you clear the campaigns, compete in the in-game events, use the free codes from Stoneprint, etc., you'll be getting requisition drops, which also give you plenty of orbs. You don't need to get hasty and buy the orbs or badges for Blackstone. The deals are quite awful, to be honest, and they aren't really worth it. If you really feel the lack of lower tier badges like Uncommon, Rare, or Epic, you could just buy them for the guild rate credits. But to be honest, Onslaught is a way better option to get them. Once again, it's slow but steady. Speaking of Onslaught, it is the only way to get shards for characters that you can't really farm and that you have actually unlocked. So you need to make sure to use this game mode on such characters. If you can farm the shards for a certain character in any other way, then you should do it that way that is available to you. If you cannot farm them, you should use them on Onslaught. The game mode becomes super important later in the game, when you are starting to get to the legendary tier of your characters. As seen in the previous slides, the legendary badges and orbs required to upgrade the characters fully are way above other rarities, which means that we need as many of them as we can, and we need to get them as fast as we can. This can be achieved by using Onslaught on a legendary rarity character, which gives us a 70% chance for a legendary badge and a 40% chance for a legendary orb. And trust me, it really stacks up over time. If you start doing it as soon as possible, preferably on a character that you cannot farm in any other way, of course, you will have a proper stockpile of those and you will be able to progress your characters from, for example, Gold 1 to even Diamond 3 way faster. You could also use it on a winged character. It increases the badge chance from 70% to 90%, but it doesn't give you any legendary orbs. And instead of getting shards for a character that you can't really farm, you are getting 6 to 7 Archaeotech, which I would say is a worse deal overall. I wouldn't do it. But if you think that you really need Archaeotech, then you do you, I guess. Okay, upgrades. They have quite an easy rule set. You get them for your energy, you get them in crates, and you get them for gold. And the energy drop rates are the worst in the basic campaigns. For example, the starting campaign Indomitus. They get better in mirrored campaigns, for example Octarius Mirror, and they get the best, and they are actually equal between the campaigns in the elite versions of them. So you can farm an item in elite nodes, and you should do it if it's a choice for you. I have also compiled a few characters that are, in my opinion, the most important to upgrade to progress every campaign. And I actually used only the characters that have good long-term value in various builds and game modes. And I also restricted myself to the 3 characters that are required to unlock the campaign, because there are certain missions that act as roadblocks for your progression that require you to use just those 3 characters required to unlock the campaign. So investing into one that basically is there for every mission is the best way to go, in my opinion. So those characters are Bellator for the base Indomitus, Aleph Null for the Mirror, Archimatus for the base Fall of Cadia, Thaddeus for the Mirror, Gibbous Crabs for the base Octarius, Berchard for the Mirror, and Eldrion for the base Saim-Han, and Abraxas for the Mirror. Okay, now, one resource that is actually a huge bottleneck in the late game, but it's not really a problem in the early game, is experience. Overall, your goal in the game is to get as many legendary XP books as you can, because upgrading your characters and their abilities relies on their level. One way to get loads of experience is to play arenas on Sundays. The higher league you are in, the higher level characters you are going to fight on average, and the more experience you are going to get on average, because it's connected to damage done by the character. So this can add up over time, and it can easily get your characters to levels like 47 or even 50 if you play in the high leagues and you are active on arena and they deal good damage. The last bonus resource that I don't consider neither primary nor secondary is actually energy, which most of you would call a basic resource, but it's not in my mind. Energy is a tricky resource because the overall rule is to not waste it. So you should be making sure to not get it maxed out basically ever, and you should also make sure to get the free 50 energy for watching an ad every day. When you have the energy, you should be using it on edit nodes, and voila, that's basically the whole idea behind energy in Tacticus. But there is one thing that actually gets pretty tricky, and that's the concept of energy saving, or how do I call it? Energy hoarding. The idea behind it is to max out your energy and then watch 50 energy ads every day, and then you add up the 50 and 110 Blackstone bundles of energy. What that means is that basically you are wasting 248 energy per day, which is basically the daily energy regeneration when you are playing. And based on your Blackstone usage, you are saving 50, 150 or 250 energy every day. I don't really like the term energy saving, because saving sounds like something truly positive. And this process is not truly positive. You are still wasting the potential energy that you could be using for your upgrades. The idea behind it is not centered about the upgrades. The idea is actually to use the hoarded energy for a hero release event, making you able to get way more character shards for the event. What that translates into is basically energy hoarding is transferring energy into Onslaught tokens in a way, because new characters won't be farmable for a long time. So we can't really use the energy to shard ratio from characters that are farmable with campaigns, right? If there is a certain character that you really want to get as high as possible and as fast as possible, whether you find him just really strong or very fun for your playstyle, hoarding energy for a release event is certainly a way to go, because you're basically translating the wasted energy and the saved energy into character shards for a character that you will be getting upgraded only by Onslaught after the release event ends. So if you want to get it done quicker, then you should consider it. It's not the best way to play the game, but it's certainly an option. Okay, quick slide about secondary resources. They are a bit faster to explain, thankfully. For guild raid credits, new players should focus on unlocking Elgion, and then they should be using Onslaught to upgrade him to Legendary as fast as possible, because he is that good. And you can also just stop upgrading Elgion at Legendary. He doesn't really need many stats, so you don't need to grind more red stars for him, don't worry about it. Then, when you already have Elgion unlocked by your guild credits, you should be spending them on Legendary XP books. Okay, next. Guild War credits. They are best used on character shards, but the roster will be rotating. So right now I can only advertise using them on Rodbone if you don't have it, because he is very useful for Legendary release events, since he is the only Chaos healer. Okay, Archaeotech should be gathered mostly by ascending Snotfloga, Eitana, and Snapareka. They require you to play the game daily to give you a daily Archaeotech income, but the Archaeotech that you get should be mostly used on Legendary XP books, especially in packs of 10, because they are like one extra XP book on top. This could change if Snowprint adds a broken character to the Rogue Trader shop, but I don't think that it's going to happen. But if it ever happens, I would get those character shards with the Archaeotech. Scrap should be used on upgrading rare and epic equipment until your late game progression. And you should keep in mind that it is way more efficient to drop or buy for gold a higher rank equipment than to upgrade it and then ascend it from your lower rank. So for example, it's way better to drop an epic item and just upgrade it than to have a rare item, get it to level 7, ascend it, and then upgrade it. It's wasting scrap, so don't do it if possible. Okay, your best scrap incomes are scrap runs, as the name suggests, and buying equipment for gold in the shop. It's not that bad of a deal, to be honest. Forge tokens aren't really worth it unless you are very, very desperate, so we will be skipping them. And raid tokens are not really a problem if you play the arena game mode, so we can also ignore them. One resource that isn't in-game but is important in mobile games is actually your wallet. The general rule of thumb for non-whale players that want to actually drop some money on the game and help the devs is to get the daily Blackstone bundle. Ignore the upgrade packs for certain characters or factions. If you want to spend some more, Blackstone bundles are worth it only for their first purchase in every tier, and later they become outvalued by event Blackstone bundles that basically give you the same bundle but also something more. If you want raw Blackstone in one big influx, wait for an event and don't buy it outside them. And my opinion on event bundles overall isn't that positive. I consider them not worth their price, especially for players with smaller budgets. Battle passes, on the other hand, can be good value, but you really need to make your grind successful, I guess. If you don't really do all the daily and weekly missions, I think that you should skip them, because You won't be getting all the levels in the battle pass then. Blackstone is quite simple. Only the 50 Blackstone and 110 Blackstone energy bundles are worth it. All the other ways of spending it are quite wasteful, to be honest. The biggest waste that you can do with your hard-earned black gold is spending 3,000 of it on a 10 drop of requisitions. Please, please don't ever do this, because it's just a gamble. And in Tacticus, as the name suggests, we actually want to be tactical about our progress instead of gambling on dropping certain characters. So don't buy requisition drops for your Blackstone, please. And that's basically the end of my video, my fellow tech priests. I hope that you learned something from it. I hope that you will take it into the account when you are planning your future gameplay loop of Tacticus. And overall, the basic tips are that you should be active in the game, basically daily. You should have a plan and be consistent with it to progress quickly and build your roster wide and tall. And most of all, you should praise the Omnisaya. So that's all from me, and I hope that you have a great day, and please remember, the machine is eternal.